everyone and welcome to Manu Video Game Maker. Today you will learn how to make your first game mechanics with triggers and animations. I hope you've seen our Getting Started guide and already familiar with the UI. Just to make sure, I left a link to the guide in the description. This time we will make a door with physical body in it, then we will add opening animation for this door, and finally we will create a key that will open this door to make your game challenging for the player. First of all, I will set up a scene, so it will be easier for you to watch. Some colors here and sizes there, nothing special and nothing to mention for you. But now, let's make some magic. Let's add a cube from the library tab. As you see, we need to change its sizes to make it look and feel more or less like a door. By default, player can simply walk through it. There is no physical body in the visual cube. Usually this is okay, not every object must be physical. But let's add a collider, cause we definitely need it here. In Manu, it is just one click in the physics tab of the top right menu. Yep. The perfect cubic shape collider added to our object. Now we can't just walk through and need to make the door interactive. Let's move forward and add trigger zone from the library tab. To keep your scene tree in order, drag and drop trigger zone to your box in the top left panel. But it must be a bit longer so the door will have enough of time to open before player runs to it. Surprisingly, nothing happens in the game mode. Let's just jump to the animation tab. Here we can add new animations. As usual, let's use reasonable names for both animations and objects in the scene. We can add objects to the timeline from the scene tree or by clicking plus icon. Then we can add animated parameters with another plus icon. Now let's add rotation to the door. It must be rotated to about 90 degrees. Unfortunately, it rotates around the center. We can animate some XY motion to compensate it. Or place a small door hinge to parent the door to it, and it will rotate around the corner. We also need to turn off the trigger to avoid double activation. But when the animation will start actually? We want it to run after the player touches the trigger. And this is exactly what you need to set up in the triggers tab. Well, we still can't walk through in the game mode. Why on earth? The door seems moving. When the door moves, the physical box is still there, because the physical body is static. Let's make it kinematic in physics tab and try again. As you see, kinematic bodies can be animated. But the overall mechanics still looks a bit too simple. Let's make a key for the door. I will just add some primitives, like torus, cylinder, prism and box. Now it looks like a key, but how can we pick it up? First of all, there must be a trigger zone inside this key, because we need to know that player walks over it. To make it easier to notice that it is a pick up, we need to animate it. How about rotation? We will add it to the timeline. As usual, we will create the new animation. Then we will add this key to the timeline. Let's use 359 for the last keyframe and 0 for the first one. It will look like a constantly rotating object. Just don't forget to loop this animation. Will it work automatically in the game mode? No, of course not, because we never launched this animation. We need to switch to the trigger zone and add on launch the scene. Now it automatically rotates when we launch the scene. But of course we still can't pick it up. Let's add the final touch, the last third animation. Of course, we need to disable doors trigger by default, so we will not be able to automatically open it. This must be done in the scene tree, in the edit mode. Then we need to add our key trigger to the timeline. We need to disable it to avoid double activation. Then add all parts of the key to the timeline and disable them as well. It would be such a waste of time to do it over and over again with each object. But you can just copy and paste animations between objects. And of course, we need to enable the trigger of our door when we pick up the key. Now, in the Triggers tab, start this specific animation when player collides with the key trigger. So by default, the door's trigger is disabled and we can't walk through. The key trigger and the rotation of this key are enabled. When we touch the key trigger, it turns off the key itself, both the objects of this key and the trigger of this key, but it enables the trigger of the door, so now we can walk in. There will be much more in upcoming updates, including assets and more complex logic. But even now you can make death, damage for your player, pickups, simple pathfinding AI for bots and more. So go get it now for free at manu.co. Dear friends, I hope the video was helpful for you. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe and leave all your questions and ideas in the comments below. See you in the next video.